is TNA, the new face of professional wrestling.
Decision time. Samoa Joe, we need your answer. What's it going to be?
Well, you can see him studying the documents.
Samoa Joe, turning the belt back in or not?
Oh! He just ripped it off right there in front of Mike today.
There's your answer.
You can... Whoa! Whoa!
Samoa Joe, he tore up the official documents. He threw them in my face. Hell no, he's not going to give the title belt back. But can you believe it? Kurt Angle's in the impact zone.
Listen to this crowd. Absolutely going nuts. Oh, what a way to make a statement.
Uh-oh. Samoa Joe laying down the NWA World's Heavyweight title belt. It's almost as if he's daring Angle to cross the line.
Look at that look in Kurt Angle's face. Look at the eyes of Kurt Angle. And you gotta wonder if even Samoa Joe can be intimidated right now.
Here's the face-off. They're nose to nose. My God, it's Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle.
Listen to this crowd.
Oh my God, Kurt Angle just headbutted Samoa Joe. Olympic slam. Olympic slam by Angle on Samoa Joe.
Man, everybody's going crazy. He just absolutely set it up. As he slammed it with the headbutt and he's got the belt in his hand.
Oh my God, what a picture this is. Kurt Angle holding the NWA World's Heavyweight title belt. Here comes Joe.
And Joe's busted open over his eye as he's bleeding down his eye. And look at that kick right to the head of Kurt Angle. And he's so bad right now. I can't believe it.
He just drilled Angle in the head with that kick. Kurt Angle, the man who's going to be the special enforcer for the Jeff Jarrett Steam match. That's Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett just got the belt.
As the crowd coming in, and you can see the melee and security pulling him apart.
Jarrett's got possession once again of the NWA World Heavyweight title. Security officials separating him.
Look at that look on Samoa Joe's face.
Oh my God, he's going to go back again. Gonna try. Look at this, he's fighting through security. There they go.
I mean, it's just not stopping. And they're going nuts again. Samoa Joe just wants a piece of Angle. Angle wants a piece of Joe.
We'll see you this Sunday. You can't miss it. You've got to be at Bound for Glory.
The Pro Wrestling Reflection presents Pro Wrestling's Greatest Rivalries with your host, the Professor Chalbello Veracruz, Tommy Wonder, and JB. We revisit the greatest grudge matches of all time.
What is going on there, Reflection Knights? What is going on there to the Vito Knights, the Hami Knights, and the solitary confinement PWCites. What is going on to the Demites, the Republites, the Shutdownites? What is going on to the Israelites, the Ukrainites, all the ites all over the world? And of course, the 110 subscribers on the Professor's YouTube page enjoying the newest episode of the PWR podcast, not only on my YouTube channel, but on the Hami Media Group at podbean.com for the audio. So this way, you can listen to it in your car. You can listen to it like Donnie Day 1 on the treadmill. You can listen to it on the toilet and all that stuff. But if you want the video and seeing how the professor has got to like keep the show afloat, because this motherfucker always looks to his left, looks to his right, looks at his inventory, looks at his phone. But I try to keep the show flowing for you guys. I just try to keep it flowing. But anyway, neither here nor there. And he is back from his Las Vegas excursion. This motherfucker who loves the Detroit Red Wings went all the way to Vegas to see the Detroit Red Wings. How is that possible and all that stuff? What do you mean, no?
I didn't watch the Red Wings. I watched Golden Knights versus Avalanche. Red Wings public entry number 1.
You sure it wasn't Red Wings versus the Las Vegas Golden Knights?
That was the day after I left.
Well, you know, excuses, but neither here nor there. But we're back from a week's hiatus, and we're back with a greatest rivalries edition here at the PWR podcast at the Hami Media Group at podbean.com. But before we get into this, I must introduce myself, because I'm vain like that. I must introduce myself so, you know, I can get younger. Get the grays out of my chin, the grays out of my ears, and the grays out of my nose. You know, it's a fucking shame, man. You know, when you get older and you're in the bathroom, you know, shaving and lining up your beard, you're lining up the, you know, your goatee, you're trying to look fresh for the ladies out there, then you look closer and like, God damn, you got gray hair coming out of your nose. It's not a silver burger. It's fucking gray hairs. You gotta shave it out, man. It's just so like, I'm so disgusted, but it is nature. It is life, and you must do these little things. I'm your friend, I'm the studious one. I am the charismatic one. But most importantly, I am the glorious one. The only objective man in this IWC, YWC, PWC punditry. The only objective man in this Twitterverse. The only objective man in this social media conundrum. Your friend of mine, the Professor Chabert Cruz. And I'm not here alone. No. I am here with the conservative liberal, the liberal conservative, the solo idiot, Dr. Freakenstein, Mr. Wonderful, and the undisputed, undeniable Detroit Rock City Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world. Tommy Wonder, how you doing, my friend?
Doing good, man. Let me just tell you something. Remember way back, we should do a spotlight on it one day. Okay. Remember when the Bulldogs beat Beefcake and Valentine?
Yeah.
In a non-title match? And Beefcake and Valentine complained about the jet lag from coming back from London or whatever. Which, by the way, would be the opposite. You'd be getting time back if you came from London.
Okay.
I got home a week ago, and every day I went to work, and I came home and went to bed because I was sick. I had jet lag. And while I was there, we fell back an hour. So I got an extra hour, and I kept waking up at like 4 or 5 in the morning there, which is good because that's like waking up at 7 or 8 here. But then I was up for 22 and a half hours at one point. In Vegas.
That killed your body right there, you know, with the 3-hour jet lag.
But I'm telling you, if you ever go to Vegas,
been there,
and the Golden Knights are playing a game, I don't care who they're playing against. It was better that I wasn't there against the Red Wings or the Capitals because it was easy to cheer for Vegas, right? And obviously, I'm never going to cheer for Colorado. So, but that building, after going to 2 Red Wing games 2 weeks before that, the Red Wings building is garbage. And I blame the Pistons. But the Golden Knights building, spacious. You got leg room. You don't feel like you're going to tumble down the thing when you're up high. Beautiful building. beautiful atmosphere. The fans were good. And then 2 days later, I went to the Raiders versus Jacksonville Jaguars. Another awesome building. But the big difference, people in Vegas cheer for the Golden Knights because they've only been there for 7 years and they're a new team. People do not care about the Raiders. Everyone in there was there just to be at a football game because I think there's probably, even for native Vegas people, it's still the Raiders. And there's probably people there that didn't like the Raiders when they were in Oakland and LA, so they don't get behind them. And there was a lot of Jaguars.
It's still a 5 or 6 hour drive from California to go to Vegas, so you do that for your.
But I'm just telling you, I saw Packers jerseys, I saw Eagles jerseys, I saw Cowboys jerseys. I wore this jersey there because I didn't know I was going to the game, and I wore this to watch the Lions at the casino. And but it was a very, very cool building. Everybody was nice, but it is what you expect. They're not Las Vegas Raiders fans. They're just tourists that are in Vegas going to the football game. Whereas the Golden Knights, everyone in that place was cheering for the Golden Knights unless they were Avalanche fans.
Well, the Golden Knights have something the Raiders don't have: a Stanley Cup,
a winning record.
Well, but they have a Stanley Cup, so they've won
it. A good team, right?
Well, that's good. But neither here nor there. But it is what it is. Las Vegas is a touristy place. WrestleMania is going to be there again. I think the NCAA is going to be there, and of course you got the hockey and you got the Raiders and stuff like that. And coming soon, the Oakland A's are moving there too, so it's going to be another.
I'll go back to watch the Oakland A's there. I don't think they're going to be called the Oakland A's though.
No, I think that'll be the Vegas Athletics. So it is what it is.
I think they might even be well, I don't know if they can call them the Aces. Like, still use that A and call them the Aces, because I heard they might change it to be Vegas-like.
Well, if it's trademarked, they can't do it. But athletics is still trademarked for MLB property, so it is what it is on that. So that much I know about. But before we get into this Rivalries edition, TW, again, I want to get your opinion. You probably haven't heard it, but shout outs to me being on the wreckage with myself and Jimmy T and the vet. We had a nice, interesting discussion. So you remember your girl from NXT, Tegan Knox?
Yeah.
Well, she and her lesbian girlfriend had a couple of tryouts at AEW. So I'll give you the abbreviated version so you give your opinion on this. Long story short, they weren't an official AEW. They did not have that AEW contract. And they were supposed to have a match on Collision. No one watches Collision. I already know that joke, so before you even say that. But they had
Dynamite.
Again, I knew you were going to say one or the other, but either here or there. But they had a contracted match on Collision, and since they're not, under contract with AEW, they were going to be used as jobbers or enhancement talent to get the other full-time ladies to go and forward some storylines.
Right.
They were allotted 3 minutes of time, and Tegan Knox and her girlfriend said, "Fuck no, we are bouncing," and they ditched Tony Khan and all that stuff. So I just want to get your opinion on this. Everybody harped their opinion about unprofessionalism with Tegan Knox and her girlfriend. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Is that her legit girlfriend? Because I never heard of the other girl.
Well, they've been promoted as a lesbian couple on AEW TV, and they were on Twitch trying to defend their position, if you will. So
right, I seen something about a tweet saying they got so much more to say. Here's the thing I read that they came in backstage, got into it with Taylo. Is that what
TJ.
Mm-hmm. But they had also had a match against
Megan Bain. Mm-hmm. And Megan Bain.
Megan Bain's that Glamazon chick, right? So is she with the Death Riders?
No, Marina Shafir is. Megan Bain is that
Why would she team with her? So that's already AEW being AEW. But I heard they got squashed.
Mm-hmm.
And they did the segment to set up the match with Taylo or Tabo or whatever her name is. Mm-hmm. And is she the one that looks like Luna Vachon?
Who?
The Tabo or Taylo or whatever. I saw another one that looked like their version of Zarya.
No, don't worry about who they look like. Just
anyway,
yeah.
But to me, if I'm Megan or whatever was her name, Tegan Knox, her name's Megan something now, right? Megan Knox.
No, the girl that's mad is the one under contract. That's Megan Bain, the Glamazon that you're talking about.
Okay, so anyways, Tegan Knox and the other girl, I would think if I'm them, if we're setting up our match in a backstage segment, I would feel like when we get to the match, it wouldn't be a 3-minute squash. So I also read today that she said a year ago she's only wrestling for 2 more years. So really, what has she got to lose? She's probably feeling like she's going to get more from walking away from there than she would having gotten squashed in 3 minutes. To be honest, I could care less one way or the other, but I don't fault them for doing it because the person that they put every single title belt on in that show did the same thing 3 years ago. So if they got a problem with Knox doing it, they better not say it was cool that Sasha Banks did it, because that's what happened with her. Same thing.
Okay, that's your position again. Like I said, I just wanted to get your position because everybody has a position. So you deserve.
Megan Bain's upset about it.
Megan Bain's upset that they didn't follow the script of the squash, and they no-sold her.
Oh, they did show up in match? They did do the match?
That was the first one. They did show up for her match, and they fucked it up. They fucked up the timing. They fucked up the move sets. They fucked up no selling and shit like that. So there was already problems with Tegan Knox and her girlfriend, causing disruption.
Well, what they've done is make themselves unbookable. So no matter what they were shooting for, they're done now. She might as well just call it a 1 year and done instead of 2 years.
All right, let me just because it feels like you're okay, not okay with it, but you just said because I think it's AEW. Let me just change it around for you. What if Los Rudos was booked on Raw to have 3 minutes with the Road Warriors? Would you just bounce on Vince McMahon and say, fuck it, I'm not coming, I'm not going to take the job?
Nope. Road Warriors I would do because it's going to do more for my career than not showing up, whatever. I'd be burning the bridge, for one. And for two, what am I going to get out of it? It's going to look like I was scared to wrestle the Road Warriors. But you're talking about two girls that have no idea who they are, and they're going to get squashed in 3 minutes? Like, come on, man. Is that including entrance?
Well, I'm only going by match time.
Here's what it feels like to me. Now that you've explained the first part, it sounds to me like they were trying to Warrior Hogan to them because they messed up against Megan Bain and the other one. Now they're going to go wrestle these other two and get squashed in 3 minutes. Sounds like it was a punishment. So, you know what? If I'm Tegan Knox, I'm in the room smelling it, I absolutely would feel that that's what they're doing. And I would be like, bye, bitch. And I'd leave. I would do it. I would do the same thing. If it was their match with Megan Bain longer?
Probably 4 or 5 minutes.
Right. So I would expect to get squashed by Megan Bain before Taylova and the other girl. Who's the other one?
KJ.
Whatever.
Jesus Christ.
Is that
act like you watch wrestling, man. See, this is the problem, Reflection. You gotta act like you watch.
I don't watch AEW. I'm not alone in not watching AEW. Nobody watches it. I try.
You don't have to watch the whole thing, but you can watch it on YouTube. Be that fan that says, I only watch YouTube clips.
If you'd have told me we were talking about this, I would have watched it just to laugh. But again, she got released, brought back. To be fair, she's nothing. You know what? Call it a day. Go get your OnlyFans started and be done. Because she's not that good anyway. And she's made of glass. I think the first time she got released was right after she came back from the torn ACL, and then she tore it again. And then they released her a second time. So it's like she just, some people have it, some people don't. And she just doesn't have it. She's from Australia too, right? Or somewhere over there?
Well, she's a foreign chick, so it is what it is.
Go back to Australia and be a zookeeper or whatever they do over there.
Jesus Christ. No heart. No.
I don't blame them for doing what they did. Exactly. Now that I know the total deal, they were probably trying to embarrass them because Megan Bain complained about the match, and they were going to squash them in 3 minutes. How do you squash a tag team in 3 minutes if you're not the Road Warriors? Does one just get beat and the other one never tags in?
You haven't seen NXT squashes in 3 minutes in your history.
Yeah, but they're not on people that were on NXT and WWE. They're against people that I've never heard of and probably will never see again.
What's that team named? That was the Road Warrior ripoffs, the Ascension or whatever they were called. They squashed teams.
Yeah,
they squashed the American Wolves. They squashed the American Wolves. Remember them?
Who are the American Wolves?
The British Bulldog wannabes, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards.
Who are they?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
One of them's married to someone more famous than him. That's Eddie, I think. Jeez. And Davey Richards just continues to grow. Like he only eats the hot dogs at the barbecue. That's it.
See, this is the greatest thing because everybody has a different opinion on these things. I love that. But anyway,
What's yours?
it's unprofessional. It
It
is
is
what it is.
unprofessional. It is unprofessional. But do you think they're ever going to? Do you think that's going to matter in the big picture for them? This
Well,
is their probably only win in the whole wrestling business. They're talking
what's
about
going to happen if you kind of like go with the momentum, get signed with TNA, see what happens. TNA always needs some stars.
Or MLW or NWA or whatever.
There you go. But let's get on with the show. We
They'll
kind
still
of
need
like
day jobs.
yeah. Well, like you said, OnlyFans is available. But anyway, let's get on with the show, TW. This is a greatest rivalries edition here for the PWR. And we're going back almost 20 years, TW. I feel old when I say this is almost 20 years old with the picture behind my back. This happened in 2006, Reflectionites. We're going to talk about one of the greatest rivalries in TNA wrestling history, and that is Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe and TW. This was the internet wrestling community's wet dream. When news broke that Kurt Angle has quit WWE and all that stuff, we got some of the logistics about the painkillers and he needed time off and all that stuff. But when he got released from WWE in 2006, every marked hard TW was already dream match booking what Kurt Angle could be doing on the indie scene. They were dream match booking him in New Japan, and they were dream match booking him in ROH, and of course TNA Wrestling, respectively. And this man behind me, TW, Samoa Joe, was one of the, if not one of the top names for Kurt Angle to face in that dream match scenario. If it was not Samoa Joe, it was going to be AJ Styles. So flip a coin, 6 and 7, all that bullshit. But you get where I'm going with this. Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, it was the Mark Tar's dream. And Jeff Jarrett pulled the coup of coups in having Dixie Carter sign Kurt Angle to a lucrative contract for TNA Wrestling and all that stuff. So the dream match that we thought that we'd never see happens in front of our very eyes. And to me, TW, this was a great time for Kurt Angle and also a great time for TNA Impact Wrestling, respectively, because again, you pulled the coup of coups. You got a legit main event player, and at that time, at his peak, drugs or not, they were calling Kurt Angle the best in the world. He was the greatest wrestler at that time, hands down. He was top 3 at this time, TW. We cannot deny the facts. I know you wish that Kurt Angle would have been wrestling WWE. He was a WWE lifer, but like I said, his greatest matches did happen in TNA, and this was one of those examples that I showed you with certain clips. So TW, what say you? Because the internet Mark Tar's got their wet dream salivated with Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe in TNA Wrestling.
Kurt looks good. This is the era where he wears some short shoes that I hated, but he made Samoa.
Wait, hold on. You have a problem with nobody not wearing knee pads, and now you got short shoes. What's wrong with you?
Him and Goldberg, they're terrible. But I think he made Samoa Joe look good. The way the whole feud plays out, I like it because it's. I think at the end, everybody watching it would agree that it's a sign of mutual respect because there's things that you don't see in a lot of feuds, unless it's the blow off match or the I Quit match. You don't see guys, not only one of them, but both of them, off and on tapping out to the other ones throughout that feud. That's good. That means that the guy tapping out was okay with looking bad to make the other guy look good, and they ended up doing the favors for each other. So all in all, very good run. But I watch it and I think to myself two things. Recently, and it's obviously because the WWE, cross branding and all that, they recently had their highest attended pay-per-view ever, and it was 8,000 fans or 6,000 or 8,000 fans, which blows
talking
me.
about TNA?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Bound for Glory. Yeah.
How in the world? And that was in Detroit, right?
No, that was in Massachusetts.
Oh, I thought the Bound for Glory was in Detroit. Something was in Detroit not long ago. Johnny Bravo was talking about. But anyways, it's stunning to me that Kurt Angle going there didn't get what Jericho going to AEW did. You know what I mean? Like, you just think, how? But it was a different time, different place. AEW, I think, benefited from fatigue, WWE fatigue, because really TNA never really got there. And TNA did a lot of their own. They did the same thing AEW did. They talked a lot of shit about WWE, which turns people off. But to know that Kurt Angle had arguably, I wouldn't say his best matches ever there, but one of the best runs of his career. And as much as I wish he'd have stayed in WWE, I'm glad he did it, because it's clearly for him the happiest run of his career. That's the happiest he's been. I just don't like how it started. He was fired, by the way, because he wouldn't get help. And then 3 days later, he's on Impact. I thought that was tacky, but he's still here with us today. So, and the other thing is, besides the attendance, how he didn't boost it, I don't understand. But the other thing is,
you can only do so much, TW, without the people behind the scenes, the management.
But the other thing is,
and the resources. You got to remember that.
Right. They didn't have a bottomless bank account like Tony Khan, where you can pay the extra 10 or 12,000 seats to make it look like it was 80,000. But
it wasn't bottomless, but they were willing to spend. And Spike TV, it was one of their number one shows. So we got to be respectful for that.
But I'm just stunned that 8,000 is their most ever. But it shows you the camera angle and the camera lens that they use makes it look like there's way more than 8,000. When I hear 8,000 people, I'm thinking Global Wrestling Federation or the Von Erichs when they only have seats on the floor at the Cotton Bowl or whatever the name of that place was. And then the other thing is, it's the elephant in the room, is whenever you see a guy from WWE go there, and you think, what are they thinking when they get in the 6-sided ring after being in a square ring? In the WWE, I think I told you this before, is the biggest ring there is. It's 20 by 20. All the indies are 16 by 16, at most 18 by 18. Then you got this freaking almost stop sign ring. But I watched between these two, if you run the camera like the hard cam, you can have a regular match. You just can't do the crisscrosses, and the Stinger Splash always looked weird because the corners weren't lined up with each other. But I think Kurt Angle legitimized TNA. Before that, it was, to me, Global with better budget. You know what I mean? Like, it was small time, but it had a better budget.
It was small time, but I think it was a good coup, as the word is used, to get a Kurt Angle involved in TNA wrestling. And the dance partner TW, we can't forget this. Samoa Joe really needed Kurt Angle to be in TNA for him to be legitimized as a main event player, for him to be legitimized as one of the, I don't want to call it icons, but again, he had one of the not only a true pillar for TNA, but a true pillar main eventer. Because remember, at this point in 2006, Samoa Joe was going back and forth between this and Ring of Honor. He was one of the longest reigning Ring of Honor champions, and during TNA Reflection Nights, before Kurt Angle came in, he was undefeated. He was Goldberg. He had a 18-month undefeated streak. So he was, again, undefeated. So the parameters were there, TW, for their first match to really be epic, because you had the pedigree of Kurt Angle against the undefeated streak of Samoa Joe. Before we even talk about the match, what say you about what this feud and what this rivalry did for Samoa Joe's career, in your humble opinion?
Well, one, I didn't know he did both Ring of Honor and Impact. I thought he could only do one or the other. And again, like, the way they present that X Division title, I think they do it right. Moose is the X Division champ. No, that little young guy is now. But Moose, who was the world champion, he was the social media champion before that. Now he's the X. It doesn't feel like a backwards move. That X Division title is basically their working man's title. Remember the IC title's nickname? And him and AJ and Frankie and Daniels, those guys all got pigeonholed into that. They were all X Division guys, which I think
does hurt them as far as main event, right? But eventually, all of them, except maybe Daniels, rose out of that. The Frankie
Is that it? Wait, is that a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop?
Mm-mm.
Oh God! Thank God.
The blow pop one without the gum.
Jesus Christ! Doing this while we're recording. Remember this reflection.
Hey man, I can eat candy. But anyways, I think it elevated him from people looking at him as just an X Division guy. You know what I mean? Like those are gimmick matches. A lot of those X Division matches, the X Wire, that pigeon cage that they wrestled in, and now he's just a wrestler in the ring. He's terrible on the microphone, and it felt like all the promos, because I watched you told me certain points to fast forward to for the pay-per-views, and I watched the promos beforehand, and they were all over the place. Kurt too, but Kurt 1 minute he's like blah blah blah, next minute he's like that young boy deserves a second chance. But
that's the painkillers talking. Don't forget that.
Yeah, right. Percocets. But Samoa Joe was just, it sounded like he was trying to be in a Batman movie. Let me tell you the ending. Blah blah blah. He was very Penguin-like, but it did elevate him. The thing that was weird for me is you said it when you started out. They said it on the pay-per-view match. I don't remember which one was the first one. Turning Point was the last one. So was it Bound for Glory?
No, Turning Point was the Genesis was their first match.
So whatever one it was where they came out, and it's the dream match, and the crowd booed both of them. Like the crowd did not look like it was their dream match. Which I talk about this all the time. Bad guy versus bad guy. Kurt Angle, and that's the other thing, that the debut where he comes out and he basically slaps or headbutts Joe and then gives him the ankle slam, and then he's standing there, and then Angle then gets laid out himself, and then they do the pull apart. That one of them should have left the other one laying. It shouldn't have been. They both, because it looks like, you see the blood on his head. That was from the headbutt. It looks like Kurt Angle Pearl Harbored him and still got beat up after Joe took his move. So I didn't like that part, but I liked the pull apart.
Well, you remember, like I said, Samoa Joe needed Kurt Angle for legitimacy, like you said. So he wouldn't be pigeonholed for. Yeah, so he needs him, and if you do that, if you do nothing without him retaliating back, would have made him look like it. Well, he's a WWE guy. This guy's an indie.
Well, no, because it was a sucker headbutt, and then this ankle slam. Next week, he could have done it to Angle. I'm not saying he doesn't get it back, but to get it back right there on the same, after he took the headbutt, after he took the ankle slam.
But technically, TW, they were both, let's say, tweeners, because we know the personality of Kurt Angle. Everybody says you suck, and they love saying you suck. And again, he's a bad guy when they say you suck. No matter if it's a badge of honor, and we love to say that all the time. And Samoa Joe is a killer. So he's the Samoan submission machine. He's like Taz and all that stuff. Like, that's the same moniker. You're a badass. So you're not there to kiss babies and handshake people and all that stuff. So you got legitimate badass tweeners. So I think that's why you needed to do what they did in their initial meeting reflection. In my opinion, that's what I'm just trying to say. I'm validating why they had. I think
what they were doing was they were making it right away that Samoa Joe isn't like everybody else. He's on Kurt's level, and I think that was the whole purpose of the back and forth, and the third match was the
yeah. We'll talk about the Iron Man match.
Locked in.
I got you. Don't worry about it. I know the chronology here. Reflectionize. This man's already drinking Red Bulls or Budweiser or Real American beer. I don't know what the fuck he's drinking. Coca-Cola Zero. Okay.
Holiday Creamy.
That don't sound good.
It was good. It was very good. It was very good.
Mariah Carey on the can?
Actually, I'm gonna start playing her in the background.
Jesus, no, you don't, because again, we'll get strikes. But anyway, let's get into this, because again, we talked about Kurt Angle's debut. We talked about the headbutt heard around the world. Now we're at Reflectionize for the first legitimate match between Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe, and this happened at Genesis 2006 TW. So again, going into this, the funny thing about it, again, and this is the first match with TW. So, Kurt Angle is actually coming into this match. I think a lot of the mark cards we're worried about Kurt Angle because again, we know the history, we know the neck injuries, we kind of heard about the painkillers, so we don't want Kurt Angle to come in, go balls to the wall, and be like, oh shit, this might be a one and done shit. This might be like, oh, we don't even know if Kurt Angle is going to be there for the long haul and shit like that. Again, we don't remember. There was a lot of reports back and forth. So, I was reading the dirt sheets, not trying to believe him, TW, but you get what I'm saying, because there was a lot of like discrepancies with Kurt Angle's health. So we get to Genesis. He is coming in, and they kind of like booked it as Kurt Angle was the underdog. And of course, Samoa Joe has a 17-month undefeated streak. 17. So what? It doesn't matter.
He said 18 all throughout the match.
No, if he won, he was going to be 18, but neither here nor there. But Samoa Joe was the favorite. Kurt Angle was the underdog. And surprise, surprise, TW, in Genesis, the first match, the winner of this match was Kurt Angle, and he made Samoa Joe tapped out. So my question is, well, before you talk about what you liked or didn't like with the first match of Genesis with Kurt Angle tapping him out, I got to ask this question because, again, this is not like a what if hindsight. This is more about hindsight because, a lot of people might have said back then, and I thought I kind of like remember a little bit of the Facebooks and the MySpaces and shit like that. People were upset, and we're talking about Mark Tars, the IWC that hated WWE. Like, this man from WWE is coming in.
Who are now 40-year-old virgin AEW fans.
Yes, they are. But he's coming in, and he made Samoa Joe, an indie darling, tap out. And all that stuff. And then, people will say the B word so prematurely. Probably they said he's buried and all this shit. Right. TW, explain why Samoa Joe was not buried in the first meeting between himself and Kurt Angle at Genesis 2006. Did you like the match also, too?
Yeah, it was all right. It was back and forth. It was 1 minute looked like he's going to win. 1 minute looks like he's going to win. They do it all. But what it did do was, this is the unfortunate side effect, although somehow or another down the way, Abyss becomes champion. So one of them had to lose it to Abyss or to someone that lost it to Abyss. But when Kurt Angle comes in and taps out the guy who has not been beaten by anybody else on that roster for 18 months, 17 and 29 days, if that's what you're saying, it makes everyone else in TNA look terrible. Because not only could they not beat him at all, this dude made him tap, and what he did. So
then you agree with the Martars that he was buried to a degree.
No.
Oh, okay.
Again, the problem with these fans is they don't let it play out, right? You first and foremost, you can't bring the guy in and tell him everyone he's the best in the world. Kurt had more to lose if he loses there than he does winning, or Joe does losing, right? Joe's younger. Joe's undefeated for 18 months, so one loss isn't like, oh, he's done, unless you're stupid. And so he immediately, after tapping out, rolls his knee, still selling, grabs the mic and says, hey, I give credit due where credit's due. Let's do this again, because it was competitive. It was. And then Angle becomes the full-on heel who goes to shake his hand and does that whoopsie and then throws blood on him. So now you at least have heel face, at least between these two, right? And it sets up for the second match, and it makes sense. And that's what the Kurt Angle interview where he goes, I thought about it, which made no sense with the blood and all that, to then do a promo saying, I thought about it. I broke my neck, but I got a second chance and I won. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be here today. And this kid had an 18-month, he said 18-month to winning streak. He deserves a second chance. That was
the Perkinsons talking, but again, it's still 17.
Yep. So they set it up well. And again, it's very tempting to bring Kurt Angle in, call him the best in the world, knowing he came from WWE without saying he's from WWE, and then having him lose. Then it's going to look like everyone expected it. Everyone thought he was losing. Everyone thought they were going to take this chance to beat the best guy that WWE had in his first match. It's going to be 0-1, the opposite of this dude doing 18 months, 17 months, 29 days undefeated. And then he wins. And it's like, oh, shit. In theory, if people aren't nitpicking and not letting it play out, people go, wow, he is that good. That's what the theory should have been. The reaction should have been. Instead, like you said,
That's what I said. I said he's
Right.
the best in the world. This was a great match. And funny enough, TW, if you did not know this, and reflection, I know you know this too, but I know TW doesn't really pay attention to the Meltzer shit. But
At all.
Dave Meltzer, you know how he throws five-star matches like water for AEW matches.
Right. For anything not WWE.
Kurt Angle has, even in TNA, Kurt Angle never got a 5-star match from Dave Meltzer. So that shows you, Reflectionites, the biasness of Dave Meltzer. And if anybody even thinks of how Dave Meltzer is trying to grandioso New Japan matches, and again, there's companies you like, TW. We get this. You're a WWE guy, so you like certain things that happen in WWE. You don't like AEW. But
not because I don't want to.
I know that, but
it's terrible.
He does it differently. He gives 5 stars to AEW and New Japan like it's nothing, but then he has to think about it with WWE and TNA. That's what I'm just trying to say. But anyway, neither here nor there. So with that being said, let's get to the second match, because again, like you said, TW, there was a story now because Samoa Joe wanted this rematch. He needed this rematch. He needed to test. He felt the wrath of Kurt Angle. He felt the suplexes. He felt the ankle lock, and he knew that he had to overcome that mountain. And it was Turning Point 2006, TW. So with that being said, Reflectionites, again, this is balls to the walls, and Dave Meltzer gave it 4.25 stars. I don't know how, but again, this is some funny shit to me. But anyway, like I said, Will Ospreay gets 7 stars for nothing. He just sneezes. He shows up, he gets 7 stars, but Kurt Angle puts in the work and he gets 4.25.
Well, you know what though? I'm going to defend Meltzer, because if he's going to give Kenny Omega a 5-star match, if he's going to give Omega, or what's the other one? Ospreay a 5-star match. If you're going to give Okada, what's just only guys with O's apparently. If you're going to give them a 5-star match, it would make sense that you would give them a ton of 5-star matches, because every match is the same. So if you like the first one, you might as well give them all 5 stars, because they're the exact same match. 77 false finishes, and then they beat each other with the other guy's move.
That's not a defense. That just shows biases. But again, neither here nor there. But
it's sarcasm.
Yeah, I know. You're good at this. You're good at sarcasm. But again, the second match, TW, it's Turning Point. Joe needed this rematch, and like you said, Kurt Angle, weeks playing into this Turning Point match, he was like, you know what? I don't need it. I got nothing left to prove. But then, like you said, Kurt Angle said, you know what? I got a chance to face the best that TNA has to offer. I got to give the kid a shot. And with that being said, Reflectionites, the end result is, guess who tapped? Samoa Joe got the win back, but also he made Kurt Angle tap. So now we're 1-1 TW. So what say you about this match? And what say you about this?
And then Kurt Angle lost his mind, and I'm pretty sure Joe told him, "You're not getting a rematch." And he's like, "I have to. I can't stand that I lost to Samoa Joe." And I think he leaves out that he tapped out, but they bring it up to him or whatever. It's very reminiscent of the headset with the wig. He's denying his tapping out, his baldness. He lost to him, and he's demanding it, and then finally gets it. But I like that's what happened, because Joe could have very easily,
like you said, like we were seeing like little Easter eggs of Kurt Angle's heelish ways,
right? Because
in the second match, he had a chair spot and a low blow spot, so it was and Mike Tenay was playing it off like, this is not a great American hero. This is not a gold medal winner. Should be
knocks himself out with the chair.
Yeah, so I just wanted to point that out for the reflection.
Very Hulk Hogan eye gouge back rake.
Yeah, and
Fuji salt. But but yeah, so it's good, and then so you have if it's modern day, if it's I don't want to pick Dean Ambrose because he's been around, but okay, Hangman Page, right?
Okay.
It's 2025, almost 2026. Hangman Page is a champion. Pick a guy from WWE whose contract ends and he shows up at AEW like Kurt Angle did. Just anybody who
if he went to WWE?
No, WWE guy. Seth Rollins. He'd be the perfect guy, right? I don't know that Angle was as WWE as Seth represents WWE now, but Seth Rollins shows up He's calling himself the best in the world, blah, 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 which I think he does call himself, blah, 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 blah. Comes out there with Hangman Page, does the same stuff. Do you think Page is going to submit to Seth Rollins in their first match? My answer is no. Joe did it. He did business. And because he did that, now we had the second match where Angle then returns the favor. You know, he did what Hogan wouldn't do for Shawn.
Right. It kind of washes again. Now it's 1-1. It washes out
but
the
you
embarrassment.
understand what I'm saying? Samoa Joe, 18-month losing or winning streak, 17 to 29 days, champion. He's the face that runs the place. He's all that and more. And then Kurt Angle comes in from the WWE. You could see him in the back pulling a Tegan Knox going, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? But he did it. He did it. And it played out because he could very well think, oh, he's not going to return the favor. He's not going to do. And then Kurt did return the favor. And then and now they're 1-1. They've both won by submission. They both could have won either match. Angle shows signs of healing. You know, the referee's knocked out. He grabs the chair, which means that makes Joe look better because it looks like Kurt can't beat him with just his gifted physical talents. He has to cheat, and he still loses.
Right. So, like I said, because again, the Mark-Tars after the first one thought Joe was buried. But like you said, let it play out and see where the story leads us. We had two classic matches, Reflectionites, and both guys tapped out.
I'll bet you those same stupid fans bitch, oh yeah, but he had to hit himself with a chair to lose. It's tainted. He's still tapped out. And they even said it in the match. The chair didn't make him lose. That Cobra Clutch did, or whatever the hell they called it. The
Coquina Clutch.
Coquina Clutch. She goes, he tapped out to that. Because otherwise he could have just passed out like Austin at WrestleMania 13. But he didn't. He tapped. He gave Joe back what Joe did for him.
Right. So with that being said, Reflectionites, we're going to go into technically the Piece de Resistance. It was 1-1, so we had to find a way to put a finale into this initial rivalry, TW.
The rubber match.
This was a legit rubber match, but it was a rubber match with a twist, Reflectionites. This is... Wait, I got to get the name correctly. Which one was this? This was Final Resolution. TNA has some fucked up names. But anyway, Final Resolution. And this, TW, was a 30-minute Iron Man match. You love Iron Man matches here.
Garbage. And Iron Man matches are 60 minutes. They're no Brett and Sean.
You're nitpicking on Iron Man matches. You know,
no,
sometimes
that's 50% less Iron Man match. How's it Iron Man? If it's half, it's a half Iron Man is what they should call it. Like the half marathons.
Well, hold on. I got the tape, TW. You praised when we did a show with Ricky Steamboat and Rick Rude doing an Iron Man match. That was 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between this match
and... I complained about that too. It's not an Iron Man match. It's a half Iron Man match.
No, you didn't. But anyway.
I remember them having the match. So I must have been high on sugar at that because I don't even remember that.
See, that I remember Reflection Night. He does it. That's why I'm
telling you, whenever they do it to this day, and I get it, they back themselves in the corner. The today's wrestling fan, I mean, you're asking a lot of them to watch a 30-minute match. So, you know, you might sneak one in on them if it just happens to go 30 minutes. But when you're telling them it's going 30 before the bell even rings, you're begging people to change the channel because the attention span of the modern wrestling fan is garbage.
Technically, I'm not disputing that, but with this
it's a half Iron Man. From henceforth, it's a half Iron Man. There's nothing wrong with that. People run half marathons.
Tomato. But anyway.
Brett, Sean, goats.
Well, then MJF and Ospreay were goats because they did go an hour. So I'm just letting you know.
Even though they did. So
yeah, because you don't watch it. But anyway, let's go back to this one. This is the
Let me guess, 8 stars.
Probably got 5 3/4, but I don't remember exactly. But let's go to this one. Final Resolution. This was a 30-minute Iron Man match, TW. And Kurt Angle, and with this, there was a caveat, TW. Mm-hmm. The winner of this Iron Man match, or half Iron Man match, as TW eloquently says, was going to be the #1 contender for the TNA or NWA Heavyweight Championship of the World. So there was stakes to this.
Held by Abyss.
Again, held by Abyss. But anyway, neither here nor there. But, again, it was already 1-1, so it had to be the way it was booked, TW. So it went the full 30 minutes, and falls and submissions happened, and the scorecard was after 30 minutes, Kurt Angle 3, Samoa Joe 2, and the way they ended it was the Coquina clutch spot at the 29-minute mark. Could Kurt Angle hold on without tapping out? And he was so close. It was like at the 15-second mark, his hands were like this close, wanting to touch the mat, but he was holding on for dear life, and he tapped out at 30 minutes and 1 second. So, TW, what say you about this? Kurt Angle wins the final resolution half Ironman match. So, no scorecard here, but it was like what? It's 4-3.
3-2.
Like I said, 3-2 here. But I'm adding the other two matches.
I like what they did. They both tapped out again, but both of them tapped out the first time with the same logic. There's still a lot of match to go. If I don't tap out and I don't make it to that rope, then I'm going to be jello legs for the rest of this match, and I'm not going to be able to get my win. So Kurt tapped quick because he knew he was too far from the rope to break it. Samoa Joe returned the favor, does the same thing, taps and goes, Then finally taps again. I don't remember who that was. It Kurt up 2-1, or was it Samoa Joe up 2-1?
In which spot?
So the first tap was Angle. The second tap was Samoa Joe. Who tapped second? First,
I think it was Samoa.
So Kurt was up 2-1. Then Samoa tied it with another tap, and then with all the whatever, I think Samoa Joe tapped. And then I think
Kurt Angle got the 3-2 lead with an angle slam, if I'm not mistaken. But neither
No, he did a roll up. He did a schoolboy, not a schoolboy, but he got
the pin. I remember that.
The fifth fall was a pin, and then from that point on, what it looked like to me on paper, great concept. You're going to put him in a submission hold. Ric Flair did this a million times with Sting. Gets caught in the Scorpion Deathlock with a minute to go and then survives it. Just takes the minute of pain and then doesn't tap out because the bell saves him. It looked like they did it too soon and there was too much time left. And then it looked like they were just kind of killing time because Kurt took the Muscle Buster and got his foot on the rope. Now, if you and me are going to take the Muscle Buster, put our foot on the rope, the other one of us should then drag you away from the ropes and then pin you again. But instead, he sat there like, what am I going to do? And blah, 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 and killed 30 seconds. And then finally, they set it up for him to get caught in that move, which also looked weird.
Is this sarcasm? Because again,
no, I'm saying I think.
I'm asking a legitimate question because again, when they're telling the theory,
I like everything they did.
Okay.
But I think they ran out of gas. They were both gassing, and they were too soon to go to the finish. Because if he would have put him in the finish when it looked like when he got his foot on the rope, there was still a minute and like 40 seconds left. So that's why Samoa Joe just kind of sat there like, shit, there's still a minute and a half left. I'm supposed to put him right in this move, right? So they kind of dick off a little bit to kill a minute and 10 seconds. Then he puts him in the move. So that if you get rid of that minute between the foot on the rope and the Coquina clutch, it's perfect. And the crowd's probably rumbling because they thought he was going to get pinned. It's almost, I think maybe they were probably trying to do Steamboat Savage where the last 2 minutes were a lot of false finishes or whatever, but they're just blown up. They were not in the shape of a Steamboat and Savage in 1987. And even Kurt was blown up. And again, 30 minutes. Percocet's probably not working no more. She's probably hurting. So
I'm not gonna say in defense of Kurt and Samoa Joe, but in defense of a Kurt Angle logic. Kurt Angle's matches, and this is not even with this match. This is just remembering this. I understand the gassing up, but his false finish is always going back to the ankle lock.
Right.
That makes him rest. That gives him time to like reset himself. Yeah. Gives him time to like say.
And Joe had already put him in the ankle lock for false finishes 30 times, so he can't do it again before then putting. I think, was supposed to go right from the foot on the rope to getting up, Kurt missing something and going right into that Coquina clutch. But there was a minute and 40 seconds left, so they couldn't. It would have looked stupid if he was laying there. Actually, it wasn't even It wasn't
No,
the cocaine and clutch.
the final spot was like a submission move by Joe to
It
Angle.
was the ankle lock.
It had to be a minute left. It was a minute left.
It was 30 seconds left when he got it on.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
that's the tradition to do a minute left and then try to hold on for dear life and all that stuff. So
right.
You know.
And so I do like what Kurt did at the end. He looked at him, he heard the bell, and he tapped, which was his way of saying, Samoa Joe, he had another second. He got me because that took everything out. And then he just laid there. And then Joe looked like, what? He tapped. I win. You know, it makes him look like an idiot because we all heard the bell before he tapped. But I just think everything they did was very well done. And it was very just unfortunately for me, this was the third match I watched. And then I watched, no, I'm sorry, it was the second match I watched.
Yeah, you went backwards.
And then because you gave me the where to watch the Turning Point match, but then you didn't give it to me until the end. So when I was watching that, I thought it was the second match. So, and then there's a fourth match that we watched with Lockdown or whatever. But everything's good. Everything's well. No. I did see Samoa Joe win. That's what I watched last. I watched that fourth. So this was my third match, but the cage match was before that.
Reflection, I have to be perfect with him. I have to give him a really lockstep.
No, I didn't realize that they were out of order. I didn't realize Turning Point was second. I also didn't realize Lockdown wasn't Turning Point. I thought because that was the match after what you said.
Technology fucked it up.
Their match was almost the exact same thing you said. Go to 220 to 247. I go to that on the Lockdown. And that's exactly what it was. It was at 2:30. So their match was on the same spot on the card on both shows. And but again, he won. And so it makes sense.
We're not there yet. But
I didn't say who won. I said he.
It doesn't matter. But again,
anyway, it was good. Very well done, and very very well done for a trilogy. You got basically best of 5, which could lead itself to saying, all right, best of 7. You know what I mean? Because that's more of a wrestling thing, is a best of 7.
But technically, we'll put a bow on this, TW.
Yep.
This trilogy between Genesis, Turning Point, and Final Resolution, for all the intents and purposes, put TNA on the map, put Spike TV on the map, gave legitimacy.
Put Joe on the map.
Put Joe on the map, and of course, just showed how Kurt Angle can work with anybody. How much
longer? That's 2006 and 7. When's Joe end up in NXT?
2015.
So he got 8 years. Like he got 8 years of mileage in Impact after Kurt Angle, and was always at the top. Wasn't he one of the Mafia millionaires or whatever the hell they were called?
Who?
Joe. Main event Mafias.
He was a muscle, but he was kind of being used by Kurt Angle. But
he wore the suit and had a belt. He was X Division or whatever.
Yeah, that was 2013, but that was a little bit different. That was a different scenario. That was just watered down. But anyway, let's get into
Wolfpack.
Let's get to a degree, but let's get into this last one because again, this one is now 2008, and already the resume for Kurt Angle is almost undeniable. He's no, because at that point, TW, I'm giving you the logistics. You know how I always give you the logistics. 2008, a little bit of like the ending of 2007 to around 2008, there was a point where he was the male version of Mercedes Moné. He was the male version of Ultimo Dragon. He had the TNA title.
The male version of Ultimo Dragon.
No, I said Mercedes Moné first. Then I said
the male version of Ultimo Dragon.
Oh, that you listened to, but everything else, I don't know anything. But anyway.
Well, you said Mercedes Moné, I was like Sasha Banks.
Yeah. But anyway, he was the TNA champion. He was the IWGP champion. He was the X Division champion, and he was the tag team champion. He had all this shit. So he was a belt collector and all that stuff. But by this time in 2008, TW, again, the main event Mafia was gaining a little bit of traction and shit like that. But neither here nor there. But Joe put his career on the line in the cage for one shot to become the new TNA champion. So I'll just give you the logistics there. And then Kurt Angle took this match so seriously, he changed his entire look, Reflectionites. He wore the USC pants. He had no boots on. He taped his foot and shit like that. Juiced?
He had the shoes, the little half shoes.
I thought I heard you say he was juiced, but I was like, he didn't look juiced. But he was being trained by who was training him? It was a UFC legend that was training him too.
Randy Couture.
Randy Couture was training him for
I don't
this.
know. I'm guessing.
You're probably
He
right.
was a wrestler at one
No,
point.
no, because on Samoa Joe was being trained by UFC star Mark Davis, and the reason that the UFC was playing because Spike TV and UFC was having a deal too, so they were
Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, they were cross promoting with each other. So I think you're right with the Randy Couture thing because he was on commentary for this particular match. Reflection Night. So I'm giving you the logistics. TW. It was the TNA title on the line and Joe's career on the line. If he was not going to defeat Kurt Angle, because again, the story told itself with the first, with the 3 matches, they fought till they can't fight no more. With somehow, some way, Kurt Angle still came out on top. Joe had to put his career on the line to become the new TNA World Champion, and he didn't make him tap out. He did what you said, the muscle buster finish. And logistically, too, at this time, this was TNA's biggest pay-per-view buy rate of all time in 2008. So this match really made people want to pay $49.95 to see this shit. So what say you about this final match?
You forgot another thing. The little Easter egg setting up the divorce. He kicks Karen out of there because he doesn't want her to watch him fight in the cage. And she gets mad at him and goes, remember this, and gets kicked out.
Well, he was taking this shit seriously. Like I said, he was deranged. He changed. He was not wearing his American gear. Reflection Nights. That's what it was. He was so serious about this match. And again, with the octagon ring, like you said, that you don't like, it actually fits with what they were doing with this particular match in 2008. So what say you about this 2008 lockdown match that Samoa Joe finally, becomes the TNA heavyweight champion of the world?
Well, it's kind of, I like it, but it's the 4th match. Samoa's already lost to him in the first match and then beat him in the second match and doesn't have the emotion that he has in the 4th match, which again, the career on the line would do that. But he almost sells it like Shawn Michaels winning it from Brett at WrestleMania, like the boyhood dreams. Like, dude, you've already had it. How are you fulfilling the boyhood dream when you've already had it? So I didn't like that aspect of it, but I liked.
Well, he never had the TNA championship until that time, so he was never
he had the NWA one.
He never had that either. He only had the X Division title.
What was the belt that Kurt took from him in the first match?
That was no, he didn't have a belt.
Yes, he did. He came out at he ripped the contract up because he wasn't turning the belt over.
No, that was storyline because he stole the belt from Jeff Jarrett. He never had the belt.
Oh, so Jeff got it back.
Yes.
So Abyss didn't beat one of them for the belt.
No.
I thought this whole time it was for the belt. Every match.
Not until this time.
That's why I didn't understand how the second match was for the number 1 contender for Sting or Abyss or Christian. So Abyss had the belt. Joe, so he did. There you go. You cleared it up. Then it makes sense. He finally became champion. I thought he was champion the whole time.
He was obsessed with being the champion, and Kurt Angle actually,
and that's why the crowd came in. I didn't understand why he had to get the belt back. I thought they were trying to say he won like Cody did, DDTing him on a belt.
Possession 9/10 of the law bullshit. Yep. You know how that is. But anyway, go back to the match, the 2008 match, Lockdown.
So this makes it even better for me because I like the feud. I just don't, the typical AEW or TNA back then. WWE guy comes in, takes the belt in his first match. They did it with Christian. They did it with Rhino. I thought they did it with Angle. But all these guys come in, they get the belt, and then the next guy comes in, and then that last guy is the bottom of the pool, which is AEW now. Is the meme with the bottom of the pool and all that. So all of that was undercard. And then it led to them having this career versus title match. How did Angle get the belt?
He won. Remember that he won that the number 1 contenders from Final Resolution.
And then he beat Abyss.
He won that King of the Mountain match at Slammiversary in 2007.
And so, but that belt was a different belt. Was that when the NWA separated?
Yes.
So did the guy who had the NWA title all of a sudden have that new TNA belt, or is that debuted after King of the Mountain?
No, that was debuted. Kurt Angle was the first TNA champion, legitimately.
Okay, and then the NWA title just got absorbed, just
No,
gone.
it went. NWA did his own thing, and then
Right,
crowned a
but I'm
new
saying
champion.
Abyss is no longer the NWA World Champion. Whoever wins this match is the first TN. So it's like Wyndham and Luger when Flair split.
To a degree, but it wasn't like that.
Who was in the match for the King of the Mountain?
It was like Kurt Angle. I think Samoa Joe was in the match, and Jeff Jarrett and Sting, and maybe Abyss too. There was a bunch of people.
Yeah. Okay. So it makes it better for me because it means that they were building up, and then both of them went on to become champion after their feud. That's good. That's a good feud.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it's very much like the Jared Goff Matthew Stafford trade. Everybody wins.
well, let me just say this because again, I think a lot of people. I'm not gonna say was underwhelmed with the cage match, but with this match, TW, I looked at it a little bit differently than maybe you might have even saw it because I'm giving you all the logistics storyline wise. But the match wise, it was really UFC centric. It was really ground and pound more than the other three matches prior to it with the storytelling, the drama, the intrigue. And I think a lot of people at that time, if I'm not mistaken, was a little underwhelmed. They thought it could have been better, and they thought they were expecting more. Do you agree with that assessment when you sasaw this match, or do you have a different take?
I think
that it had to be presented differently for the stake it is.
All of it. It's always going to be a letdown, especially like. Can you imagine them having that match in AEW right now? It would be booed out of the building. Well, no, it's not cable. They share everything they do, but if it's what I feel when the WWE does the fucking underground or whatever that dumb shit they do on NXT with the ring with no poles and no ropes.
Okay,
it's terrible. It's very anticlimactic. It would have been great in 1950 when a knee lift won you the world title, but it's not when dudes are doing hurricanranas from the top rope to the floor, putting people through tables. You have so much stuff now. It's like you remove the stuntman aspect of it by just having them do ground and pound. And for me personally, I'm far less of an MMA guy now than I was during Ultimate Fighter. I was all in on UFC after the Ultimate Fighter, but because it's just like wrestling. If you don't have the backstage stuff, if you don't have the in-ring promos, if you don't have all that stuff, why do you care about anybody? It's the character that makes you cheer for them because you like them. And that's how UFC Ultimate Fighter was. You would watch these two teams. It's the reason Matt Hughes and Randy Couture are my favorite because of those shows. And I like Chuck Liddell, but he was the black hole of charisma. He had none. He just went out there and knocked you out. But Couture and Hughes, and then Stephen Bonner and Forrest Griffith. You watch all these guys, but my favorite fights in UFC, which is funny because I'm not a boxing guy, is when the dudes just go toe to toe. I hate it when they're on the ground and sliming around. It's the most boring thing in the world. And then they do this in a cage, which what are you and me hoping for in a cage match? What's over your right shoulder? Blood. You want to see guys, you want to see Hogan throwing Bundy's head first into the blue steel. You want to see Snuka come off the top of that thing. You want to see a reason for there being a cage. And in that situation, the only reason there's a cage is so no one interferes, and that wasn't even part of their storyline.
Right.
So it's blah.
That's what I'm saying. So you get where I'm going with it. Yeah. It was a little underwhelming. It was more UFC centric and all that stuff. So with that being said,
but in their defense, the entire feud, what they're selling about Kurt and Samoa Joe is that they're submission experts. They even popped for Kurt pinning them in the Iron Man match because everything else up to that point was submissions. And they're like, look at him. He used his wrestling skill to win that, not his submission skill. And so they said he went back to basics or whatever he called it when he did that roll up to beat him, which, that's my favorite type of ending is I hate the boot to the face, leg drop, 1, 2, 3. It's just so formulaic that it's like, bleh. But when you just roll up somebody in a small package or a schoolboy or a victory roll, there's a reason some of the best matches we've ever seen in our life were guys winning, like Ricky Morton, victory roll, and Steamboat, small package, and Savage, all those matches, because it came out of nowhere and you're exhausted by the end of it. So when you watch these guys, they're the submission guys. They're the two perfect guys to have a UFC style match in a cage, because really the match wasn't much different than the other ones. It's just they they did a little bit less with the ropes, but they didn't do much in the other three either.
So before we close out TW, I'll give you maybe 30 seconds to a minute with a hypothetical question with this rivalry. With the matches you saw, could you see Royal Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam scenarios with Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe at their peak, at their primes? Would it sold for you?
Today, yes. When they were doing it, no. Because you still had over-the-top, larger-than-life characters in WWE that it would have been really hard for them to surpass.
So they would have stole the show, but they weren't main event.
They would have been Steamboat Savage underneath Roman Cena or whatever. I mean, Kurt, you know what? If Joe came there and they did the same stuff with Joe and Angle, then Angle could possibly elevate Joe to be in there. But look every time Samoa Joe's in WWE twice, it's like he rules NXT, never makes it past that. And again, black hole of charisma. He has no charisma at all. Whereas when I'm watching Kurt in these matches, he's serious 1 minute. He's silly with the hat and the little guitar with Steve Austin the next. He's edging Christian with Team Eck. He's very well rounded. And Samoa Joe is Joe's gonna kill you. And then you put him in the ring with the Undertaker, no one's gonna buy it. You know what I mean? They buy it with Angle, they buy it with Kazarian, they buy it even with Cena, but they're not gonna buy it.
So basically, Joe is too one-dimensional for you to be.
Yes, he's not larger than life. He's large and in charge, but he's not larger than life. I have come a long way with. I did not like him at all. I thought he was careless with that muscle buster. He's the one that ended Tyson Kidd's career. But at the end of the day, I think he loves the business. I think he does right by the business, and he showed that. Like, I can't say it enough. How he literally 18-month undefeated streak, and his first loss was tapping out to a guy that just got there. I absolutely could see a scenario where he goes, nope, I'm not doing it. But he did it, and it benefited him in the long run to do it. And Kurt Angle made him his equal. Here we are 20 years later talking about their feud that who knew back then that it would be their biggest buy rate. It would be, you know what I mean? Like, again, I'm still absolutely stunned that 8,000 is their biggest draw ever. That's crazy to me.
Well, the Alamo Dome for Lockdown, it was 10,000 plus. That was the biggest gate.
So maybe they said it was the biggest Bound for Glory audience ever.
No, what you're talking about in a couple of years, this past Bound for Glory, yes, it was the biggest attendance in years because they haven't had that opportunity. That's the difference.
I thought they said it was their biggest attendance ever.
No, it's the biggest attendance in the last couple of years. That was the difference because they were doing 200 seaters, 500 seaters, 1,000 seaters. So they're elevating up right now.
I remember their COVID studio. That was a Channel 4 newsroom is what that was. That was small.
But from that point to now, that's the biggest attendance from COVID era to now, that's their biggest attendance.
Still might have been their biggest Bound for Glory draw. I know it's something to do with Bound for Glory.
Lockdown is their biggest attendance. Lockdown 2013, we did it with Bubba Ray and Jeff Hardy in the cage. So
the Hogan stuff.
Yeah. With that being said, we close on this greatest rivalries edition on the PWR podcast at the Hameen Media at podbeam.com. What are you going to do next time, Reflectionites? I'll keep you on your toes. I can't think of everything right now, so maybe we'll go episodic. You know, Donnie Day 1, he's waiting. He's salivating. But you know how I play this game, Donnie? I might do 200 when it starts in 2026. So that's why I'm trying to hold out a little bit if I can think of other stuff. But if I can't, I'll do an episodic, and I'll even surprise you, Donnie. So with that being said, TW, give out those socials so we can get out of here.
All righty. You can follow us at the PWC Network at podbean.com, as well as Hameen Media Group at podbean.com. PWC, obviously, is the Pro Wrestling Coalition Network. You can see Hameen Media Group at channelattitude.com as well. And our show on X is at PW Reflection. Big Ray is all over the internet at Big Ray Hernandez. He is currently packing his shit to get out of New York City right now. He's going to be living with you for a while before he makes it to Florida, Professor in New Jersey. He's every Wednesday live on the Next Level podcast for NXT, and every Tuesday live for the Raw recap. Is that what that's called? For
Raw review, whatever.
Raw review. You can find me on Instagram and X at Tommy Wonder 19, Snapchat number Wonder, Facebook.com/Tommy Wonder, at the Tommy Wonder's TikTok and my other X. And you can find Big Vito and Noel at Big Vito Brand on TikTok. You don't stop. And I actually deleted my Threads account, and I deleted the app of X off my phone because it's a cesspool of humanity. But I'll still get a email saying somebody wrote to me or something.
Damn, MAGA, you ruined it for TW. But anyway, neither here nor there. So with that being said, you can follow me on this link. Well, again, neither here nor there. But anyway, you can follow me on my YouTube page, youtube.com/@Pro Wrestling Reflection, or type PW Hustle, PRF, that's PW Hustle Pop, and subscribe to the nostalgia. Subscribe to the PWR podcast to see the video editions of all these shows and see how the professor keeps a straight face with all the shit that goes on with TW and all that stuff. But anyway, we got 110 subscribers. Hopefully, maybe by the end of the year, maybe we can get 120. You know, we build it up little by little bit. I'm not buying subscribers. I'm not doing that shit. So I earn these subscribers. So enjoy it and tell a friend to tell a friend. But also follow me on my Twitter at PWSOPRF. That's PWSOPRF. Follow me on my Blue Sky at PWSOPRF.bsky.social. See, go on Blue Sky, TW. It's not a cesspool there. It's a semi cesspool with the Kurt Angle.
Yeah, they're all kissing each other on Blue Sky. Not doing it.
Again, you know, they, them, non-binary people doing it. But anyway, with the Kurt Angle action figure right there. So again, with that being said, I'll keep you on your toes for next time here at the PWR podcast at the Hami Media Group at Podbean.com. With that being said, I'm the professor. That's Mr. Wonderful, the solo idiot, and the Detroit Rock City Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world. Woo! Tommy Wonder saying good night, and we'll see you next time here at the PWR podcast at the Hami Media Group at Podbean.com. Peace!
It's real. It's damn real.
You know I hated that one.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it is.
It wasn't it.